and take a look at what these drivers have to offer tonight. As we head down into it, we can see here the lovely TYR, or Tire Sim Racing, of Danny Santo. Currently coming across the line right now. He's going to be beginning the first lap tonight. We'll pop on board with the Spanish Lamborghini driver. Heading into the first corner now. Going to be attacking this next sequence very aggressively. It's a very tight hairpin that leads into a deceptive little bit of throttle here. You can see it's a off-cambered corner coming up here. That left-hander, you chuck the car in, but it's so easy to understeer off. In fact, that was definitely not quite the optimal line Danny was looking for. Definitely could have had a little bit more minimum speed through that corner. Braking early there. Oh, definitely not enough heat into the tires. That is very, very deep for Danny Santo. He'll keep up this lap, but in terms of his pace, this will be more than likely a banker lap at best for him if he can make it around the track. Valid. Danny struggling with that Lamborghini Evo 2 here at the start. As I said, though, cold tires going to be the biggest problem. Beyond that, the drivers having to just battle with a track that maybe not too many of them drive. In terms of popularity, I would say Snetterton, one of the tracks that is not quite up there in terms of that. It's a very fun track. GT3s, though, they're a tricky beast around here. I enjoy me some GT4s. I personally don't have too much GT3 experience, mainly because I can't keep it between the mayo and the mustard. But that's beside the point, as Danny Santo has somehow managed to do this entire lap. I feel like he's pushed those boundaries just to that nth degree, but keeping it in between the lines so far. He will get a banker lap down, so that could be the difference here tonight. Let's see it in terms of times, what we are going to see. Of course, if you guys want to see the times as well, you can find our pit wall. I think our link in our bio, you can find that into our multi-link, and that is going to be Pit Wall Live, of course. This championship brought to you by, as I said earlier, Pure Sim Gear. That is a awesome sim racing, sim wear company designed by sim racers for sim racers. Has lovely socks, gloves, and a nice stretchy material that keeps you oh so comfortable in those hands from not being sweaty on the wheel. Pole position now belonging to Krzysztof Stachanki, our championship leader. No surprises there. Danny Santo, his time is being shoved down into the doldrums. You can see bottom of the time charts no longer, actually, as I said that. But Stachanki off to a smashing start in the McLaren Evo 2 tonight. We also have the SPQR of Simone Basolio out on track tonight. A very talented driver. Currently, I think P2 in the standings. Tied for P2, excuse me, in the standings. And Benjamin Eck, that lap seemingly out of nowhere. The Porsche, a car that I haven't seen too much as of late in terms of being out on track, but with an incredible great white Porsche livery from this Swede here. Let's just take a little look at this really quick. There we go. Get a little look at this Porsche 992, an awesome livery, incredible effort put in. I'm not sure if Benjamin Eck is the creator of that, but you've been sharked, says the back of the bumper. Let's hope he doesn't take a bite out of anyone's session tonight, but as it stands, he is making a good start in terms of the timing charts up at the top. Krzysztof Stachanki, though, never count him out, as he will be coming to the line once again. What does he have currently? It's 4 thousandths, or 40 thousandths separating the P1 and P2. Now 2/10 as Krzysztof Stachanki comes to the line and plummets Benjamin Eck down 2/10. That's going to be quite a task to make up for Benjamin. We are seeing a lot of invalid laps as well. We have Dennis, and I apologize to everyone in advance for any mispronunciations, but I'm definitely going to mispronunciate this one. Alaqua? I'm not, once again, if anyone in chat can help me on pronunciations, this is an Italian name, I would really appreciate that. We also have Kiko Gallo in P8, as he is going to be, or they are going to be coming through that middle sector now. A very tricky sequence of corners. You can see trying to get as tight as you can to the bollard to come out onto the Bentley straight. This is where we're going to see a lot of overtaking happening on this straight. You're going to be trying to set it up through Williams on to Nelson here. It's a bit of a tricky corner, a double chicane or a double apex, however you want to call it. Not a double apex, a double chicane. Into another very, very tight, tricky corner. The bomb hole, lift of the throttle, your car being unsettled constantly. Back onto it now through the very tight right-hander. That was just very tricky, excuse me. Thought he was going to have a bit of an understeer moment. He managed to keep it under control, did Kiko, but as he is coming to the line, it's not looking like too much of an improvement. And P10, it will remain for the 444 driver. Another Swedish driver jumping up to the top of the time charts here. Is it Melker Garbdi? Melker Garbdi in P1 in front of Daniel Tuda with nice Krzysztof Stachanki, really showing that he has what it takes here to put it on pole. And as that track gets ever so rubbered in, he is going to be improving just more and more. But definitely keep an eye here on Dennis, the number 1 McLaren. Also, welcome everyone in chat as well if you guys are here. Hope you're having a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. Also, anyone watching the VOD afterwards, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Big thank you to everyone taking part of this, all the FRL organizers for putting this on. As I said before, I'm Mike Noss in the booth. Later on tonight, we will have John Wright joining us. But as it stands, it will just be me for now. So you're stuck with the American until the Scotsman can find his way into the booth. Snetterton, though, a very exciting track for racing, and I think we're going to see some close racing tonight. It's a very tough track to overtake, though. One of those tracks that's easy to follow, but not so easy to make a move, even if you are quicker than the person in front. There's very few opportunities, especially through this sector. You're really just going to be nip and tuck to the driver in front of you. And there will be maybe some lunges into this hairpin. It's a bit of a bold one if you can make it happen, but I think for the most part, the drivers tonight, all extremely high caliber. Well, we'll see. I think making it happen in any corner realistically, but also interesting note, the quickest car in terms of straight line speed is also Krzysztof Stachanki in the 144 McLaren. He is at 254 kph, tied with the Aston Martin, interestingly, of Zakdal. And behind him, Tuda in the McLaren, then an AMG, Oliver Ewig in P5 for terms of straight line speed. Where's Oliver Ewig in terms of track position? He's down in P13 in that Vivid Global Racing. Still seeing some invalid laps. Alqua? Alaqua? That sounds so French. It just doesn't sound Italian. I apologize if that is extremely far from it, which it wouldn't surprise me if it is. Very tight margins up at the top, though. 25 thousandths separating Dennis and Krzysztof. Stachanki going to be trying to improve his lap this time around as well. We saw an invalid lap from Dennis last time, as we are running out of laps for this qualifying session. Also, Melker Gardby in P3. Definitely do not count that Swedish driver out. In the Kara Motorsports? I don't think that's how you pronounce that, but once again, blame my American tongue. That's just the excuse I like to use. Krzysztof Stachanki here on an improvement. 1/10 so far coming through the bomb hole. Very few corners left through Coram. double downshift into Corum as well. That's very interesting. Able to maximize that minimum speed as he heads to the line. Krzysztof Styczanki is going to improve his pole position time by about a 1/10. That will make it much harder for the drivers around as these margins are extremely tight. We can see both Benjamin Eck as well as Francois Tassin. Francois Tassin, the exact same time, down to the 10,000th of a second. Now, just for reference, folks, the human eye blinks at 0.2 of a second. So that's currently the margin between Daniel Tuda and the pole sitter of Styczanki. When it comes to being down to the 10,000th of a second, especially over the course of 2.9 miles and 12 corners, that is extreme margins to have, and it really is a testament to the talent of the drivers out there, as well in different machinery. That's to be said. A Ferrari and a Porsche, 2.9 miles, the exact same time. Incredible. All eyes, though, currently are on Krzysztof Styczanki. In fact, every single eye in this lobby has his eyes on Krzysztof Styczanki. It's quite the pressure to have on your shoulders. Of course, the championship leader, I think we'll see here, he is just going to be trying to show his stuff tonight in that carbon fiber McLaren, what he can do. Krzysztof, though, driver that I've seen in other leagues as well. He is just blisteringly quick anywhere he seems to go. As he comes to the line now, it is not going to be an improvement, and he will begin his final lap around the Snetterton qualifying here tonight before we move on to our 60-minute session ahead of us. Of course, in that 60-minute session, we will see one mandatory pit stop, where the drivers will have to take tires. They will not have to refuel, just take tires, so it'll be around a 30-second stop time. Krzysztof also is pushing it this lap. Why don't we pop on board with him? I know he's been getting a lot of screen time, but he is the pole sitter. Dennis is only 18 thousandths behind. Definitely do not count any of these drivers out as well. Daniel Tuda, where is he in terms of place on track? He will also be able to start another lap, will Daniel Tuda, actually, as he is going to be coming to the line. Let's take a look at him before we move on to Styczanki's lap. Daniel is on a blisteringly quick lap right now. As he heads to the line, what is he going to put in terms of times tonight? This is going to set the new bar, and it's going to be 1/10, over just about 2/10 above Krzysztof Styczanki. He needs to make up an absolute mile here in terms of pace. I know I said before, less than a blink of an eye he needs to make up, but that is miles when it comes to these professional, or yeah, I mean, these are very much professional drivers, I would say, in terms of the names that I'm seeing out there. So I do not take back what I said. Daniel Tuda, that will be the end of his qualifying. That's all he has in the tank. Does Krzysztof Styczanki have any more? He's going to be coming to the line now. It's going to be extremely tight margins. He crosses the start-finish line, and he takes it by 45 thousandths. Very nice job. Krzysztof Styczanki delivering when he has to. Dennis Alakua not improving with two corners left to go. I find it very unlikely that he will make up the 3/10 that he needs, or 2.5 that he needs there in order to qualify in a higher up position. Comes into the pits, practicing his pit entry, a very respectable thing and something that drivers do not do enough, in my opinion, especially the lower drivers in terms of just your, average pub drivers. I would always say, if you watching, make sure you guys practicing your pit entries, always, at least 5 pit entries before every race. That way you don't get that stop-go 30 or that drive-through penalty, as you can make up about a second maximum in the pits, but you can also lose about a lap. So, and Alex Zakdal here in a lovely gradient livery. Eric Gakassian from Trackalicious would be proud if he was watching right now. But the FRL driver to the line. and it will be 8th quickest and the end of his qualifying as well. Benjamin Eck on an invalid lap, going to be practicing his pit entry, nice to see. And Elik Zimmerman practicing his pit entry as well. Zerman, excuse me. And that is going to be the end of our qualifying session tonight. Looks like we will have a full out lap, I think, by the looks of it. Why don't we get in here and meet our drivers? If I can find the right button. There we go. The guys in the truck are struggling a little bit here tonight. Apologies, of course. As we have it, though, starting off here in P1. Oh, this is going to be a struggle for me, and I apologize in advance to all drivers that I mispronounce in this grid rundown. We'll just leave it there. P1, it is going to be Krzysztof Stachanki in the 144 McLaren Evo 2. Lined up next to him on the front row is going to be Daniel Tuda in the McLaren. McLaren front row lockout here in England tonight. Love to see the home car out in strength. The number 1 of Dennis Alakua in P3 with Benjamin Eck Company in 4th. Marco Chetti going to be lining up in that 3rd row in the FRL Racing team, the Swiss driver. We also have Melker Garbi in P6, the 221 McLaren Evo 2. Lots of McLarens up at the front tonight. Simone Basolio, Company in 7th, with Alex Zachdahl lined up in row 4 in P8. Francois Tassin going to be lined up in 9th, with Kiko Gala rounding out our top 10, the Spanish driver in the Eagles Esports McLaren. We have Giacomo Paulo D'Angelo, in P11, the number 57 SPQR driver, as well as Dennis Suarez in P12. Danny Santo in the Tire Sim Racing, going to be lined up in P13 with Louis Pithers Company in 14th. Elik Zimmerman in P15 with Ollie Ewig Company in 16th position. Graham Potter qualifying 17th. We have Simone Sperla in P18 with Rafael Pereira in 19th with Company. Tom Curtin rounding out our top 20. And last but not least on the grid, P21 is going to be Omar Rolano Mesa in the Tire Sim Racing Ferrari 296, the Spanish driver. As well, the drivers getting underway here tonight. Krzysztof Stachanki, the on pole. I didn't actually mean that when I started that, but hey, it works. Krzysztof going to be trying to bring it home tonight from that pole position as well, leading that championship as we saw before. In fact, why don't we take a look at that while the music is rolling. You can see the championship with Stachanki leading by a good margin, taking P1 in round 1 and a drop round of P1, which you know is a good sign for the Polish driver in the future. The tight margins coming up. The drivers here coming around the first sector and getting ready to get going here tonight to tackle the 60 minutes ahead of them. Now 60 minutes, a bit of a sprint race, to be honest, with one mandatory pit stop. Of course, these drivers very experienced, especially some of them coming out of the Road to the Grand Final series and are in the Grand Final series as well. The SPQR team, I think as well, let's see, testing my memory here. There's a few teams in here. I know the Tire Sim Racing made it to the qualifiers, and I think they caught P4 in the qualifiers. I don't think I know because I commentated that race, but still, they got P4 in the qualifiers, just not able to squeak into the top 3 and make it into the finals. So very unfortunate for the Tire Sim Racing. The Lamborghini, not the McLaren that we see out tonight. I think Danny Santos was one of the pilots in that. But lots of experience on this grid tonight, and a lot of big names that I recognize myself, which is saying something, as the American side of things, I commentate typically. I don't see too many of the Europeans. Some of the names, though, that really stick out to me tonight, of course, Benjamin Eck, Marco Chetti. We also, Krzysztof Stachanki, very fast driver, I'm well aware of. Dennis, I'm not too familiar with, but really making his mark tonight in terms of the time charts. I'm sure he's very experienced. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. I just personally am not familiar with him. Other names out there, Ollie Ewig in the Vivid Global Racing. Big shout out to the Vivid Global Racing boys. Absolutely love you. the German community. The drivers, though, now coming around the penultimate corner and going to be lining up here 2x2 Noah's Ark formation before we get underway here tonight. Christoph going to be on pole. You can see the drivers kind of squabbling there a little bit to get into their grid slots, as it's a bit awkward around the final corner. Of course, though, we will be coming on to the start-finish straight, and the little kink that you see there is actually not formally a corner, thankfully. Unlike Kyalami, or unlike Laguna Seca, where the first corner is not the first corner. But nonetheless, we're lined up here, 2x2, Noah's Ark formation, Christoph Stachanki on pole position with Daniel Tuda in P2. I'm Mike Noss in the booth as we get ready to go green here tonight for the Pure Sim Racing GT3 Masters Season 11, Round 3 at Snetterton. It's the calm before the storm. And we are green, green, green now, heading into the very quick right-hander. It's a smashing start for Christoph Stachanki, and Dennis behind is going to be under a massive pressure from the shark of Benjamin Eck. Benjamin giving him a nice little squeeze. He does manage to make it happen. Up into P3 is the Great White Porsche. We see some squabbling as well with Melchior Gotterby into the hairpin. Going to be making big moves, and a big lunge from the McLaren behind runs deep. That might cost them a few positions as they rejoin 3 wide now. Coming down towards the left-hander. It's going to be Augie's. And, oh no, Palmer, excuse me. Palmer, we see the VGTR car off into the grass, unfortunately. That's going to push Simone Basolio down massively. He has a good champion on his hand, a good championship fight on his hands, too. That's devastating to see that early on here. As the drivers side by side there momentarily, Benjamin Eck trying to make moves up into P2 here. Not satisfied with just the podium. He wants to make big gains tonight and maybe even take the win. Dennis Alacua behind. We'll see if he can make anything happen. A bit of a gap forming between Alex Zakdal and Marco Keddy. The lead pack starting to show its pace already, with Francois in the NRE here chasing down, is it D'Angelo, in the SPQR Porsche. A few Porsches out there tonight, as I said before. I haven't seen too many since it really came out. It was a big hot craze at first during the 1.9 update, but I think the squishy suspension, maybe the driver's not quite too favorable for it. I personally never got a feel for the car. Benjamin Eck, though, is definitely showing otherwise tonight. This car looking very strong behind the hands of Benjamin, the Swedish driver. As we look behind, rounding out our top 10 is going to be Dennis Suarez battling with Francois Tassin. Also, Kiko Gallo and Dani Santo behind. They are going to be squabbling. The Mystery Machine Lamborghini is going to be under pressure. I think that's from Ollie Ewig. Ike Zerman. Ilik Zerman, excuse me. You can see the SPQR there of Simone Basolio is absolutely eager to make up positions. I think we're going to have to keep an eye here on this driver as they started in P7, dropped 8 positions down to P15 at the beginning. Is our unfortunately biggest loser for positions tonight at the start. In terms of biggest winners, we're actually tied. It's a 4-way, no, not anymore, as D'Angelo makes that a 3rd. Dennis Suarez also making it 3 positions gained for himself. So they're going to be trying to push their ways through the field here tonight at Snetterton. Francois Tassin, though, he is going to want that 9th position back, but Dani Santo wants his way into the top 10. Definitely don't count out Dani Santo. The Tire Sim Racing Lamborghini struggling here tonight. I wonder if the Lamborghini is a bit of a handful at this track, as we don't see too many qualifying very high up at all, in fact. And that lead pack really starting to develop itself. You can really see a gap forming between between Dennis Suarez and D'Angelo. That is where 4 seconds separating those drivers. And some of them, of course, much quicker, as you can see, but they're just held up. It's so tough to overtake here at Snetterton. And these drivers eager to make a move anywhere they go on this track, but not really able to do so. The NRE E-Racing 128. Currently, let's see what his lap times are looking like. 148.4 for Dani Santo, 149.9 for Francois, but Francois, I think, just stuck behind, is going to be having a bit of an issue there. Ollie Ewig feeling a weakness with Ilik Zerman. Also, a position change, side-by-side action. Benjamin Eck, side-by-side, some bumping and banging as well, as Benjamin is going to be trying to take that position. Switchback attempt there as Daniel Tuda makes a valiant defense, but is it enough? The Porsche doesn't have too much legs in the straight. The McLaren most certainly does. That's not that long of a straight, though, and the Porsche prides itself on its acceleration. Gonna have the optimal line, and he takes the position. A lovely battle there between Benjamin Eck and Daniel Tuda, making it happen up into P2. Oh, and that's a big send behind there. Daniel Tuda a little late on the brakes, almost comes clattering into the back of the Great White Porsche. Hopefully we don't see any harpoon maneuvers tonight from Tuda. I wouldn't expect any from any of these drivers, to be completely honest. Marco Chetti behind in P6. He is down a position from where he started, surprisingly. I would have expected the the FRL driver there to make up some ground here on lap 1 as the pace maybe in that AMG. I'm not sure I've ever actually seen Marco behind the wheel of an AMG before. So maybe not too comfortable with that. Hey, and greetings from Hajo Horman. We got Hajo in chat supporting the Vivid Global Racing team. Let's go. At least I'm assuming that's who you're supporting. You didn't make anything clear there, but of course I know you're a member of there, so I would think nothing less. Giving some shout outs there to Ollie Ewig, who just made an overtake onto Simone Basolio. No, he didn't. Wait, Simone should be down to... Yeah, never mind. Simone is trying to make an overtake. Ollie is trying to hold on, and he's doing a great job of it, but Simone... currently P2 in the championship standings. He wants those positions more than most people in this field here tonight. We'll see if he can have them, though. And interestingly, fastest car in a straight line currently is the AMG of Marco Chetti. The only driver at 254 kph. 154. Man, that'd be NS. Oh my goodness. Anyways. I was gonna try to say Miata, but you know, the Honda NSX is on the brain. Slightly different cars. Simone still putting that pressure onto the rear bumper here of Ollie. So far, though, not able to make any lunges. Pop on board with the SPQR driver. See what sort of pace they have tonight. Tilts it into the chicane. Gotta have to get it stopped in time before the next. And you can see just playing the patient game, really. Being very comfortable with his braking markers. Not wanting to close that gap in too much. He is going to want to make some looks maybe into T1. I said before we may not see too many opportunities into that corner, and I still expect that. Wow. Simone just fluttering the throttle. Not sure that's the best fuel-saving techniques, but nonetheless, keeping it under control and between the white lines. That's all that really matters. Uh-oh, what has happened? Marco Chetti has a yellow flag and is facing the wrong way. Was there contact? Let's take a look here tonight. Okay, get a aerial view. It looks like this could have been self-inflicted. Marco kind of, oh, a twitch. The front end getting loose in an AMG and rejoining the track. Wow, the SPQR Porsche does hit the rear end of the AMG, but it was just a little bit of a clip. Luckily for him, he does stay on track. Who was that? That was D'Angelo. Very close. D'Angelo going to be picking up a small bit of damage on the front end of that Porsche, but it shouldn't matter too much. The splitter has a pretty good structural integrity for that 992. Also, Hajo making the point, yes, we're on YouTube, so make sure you guys hit that subscribe and like button, as they are both free if you guys are enjoying the content here tonight. I'm Mike Noss in the booth. Later on, we will be having John Wright join us. So once again, we'll have the Scottish, I don't even know what to, 00 Raven, we'll just call him. I don't know, that's his official name, but nonetheless, not the Scottish clown, but not far off either. We'll say that when he gets here to his face. I love this livery here from Ilik. Ilik in the Mystery Machine. Now, the Lamborghini, I've always said, is one of those cars that you can literally paint anything on this and it will look amazing. And I stand by what I said. You can make a Lamborghini look like the Mystery Machine, and wow, would you look at that? It looks incredible. Big shout out there to Ilik Zerman, the Swedish driver, with a double yellow on track from Daniel Tuda. What has happened here? Now, this is big. Daniel Tuda was up in P2 at one point in this race. You can see he was in P3. That's way too deep for the McLaren. The back end stepping out. He tries to rejoin the track, loses control, and is heading straight on in a passenger towards the fence. Daniel, one mistake is all it took, and that has plummeted him down to P11. Huge stuff early on here. 50 minutes left to go as well. Snetterton really separating these drivers out tonight in terms of skill. It really just takes a little bit more patience on this track as the grass basically is right. Well, not basically. It is constantly right there at all times. There is no runoff area at any point, really. And as a result, you go a little bit too deep, as we saw there. And, well, you will end up facing the incorrect direction. That's two very talented drivers claimed victim to tonight. Ollie Ewing, though, he is loving that sight, of course. Now having a bit of action for the Vivid Global Racing driver, the German in P13. Going to make it up, of course, Ilik. Not going to give that one up easily. He also wants to make positions up. Daniel Tuda. The thing is did he pick up damage on the McLaren? This is a car that really relies on its aerodynamics. He had a very light tap with the fence, but sometimes it's the lightest taps that do the most damage in sim racing. A little deceptive in terms of the damage model here in ACC, especially if you come from different games like iRacing, for example. But a very fair one at times. It makes it so drivers are able to return to track even with catastrophic damage. But Snetterton, as I said before, a track that not too many drivers know that well because it's just not the most popular. However, though, in terms of actual real-life racing, this track is extremely popular. They do all forms of racing here, from motorbikes down to the lowest forms of kart racing, pretty much. I think they have a karting track here that you can see from the aerial. But it's located in Norfolk, England, founded back in 1951. Of course, there were a lot of the racetracks founded back post-World War II, it turns out, when you have a bunch of crazy British people that were flying airplanes defending England for, years. They had to go and try to find something else to go and kill themselves in, basically. Fly a bathtub full of gasoline, or drive a bathtub full of gasoline through the, well, Norfolk woods, basically, at the time, as it was more or less trees stopping you from going off into the fields of farming. It's changed a little bit since then. The Vivid Global Racing driver there getting very eager as well. You can see going a little bit deep. I'm not sure if that was a mistake or an attempted overtake. It looks like, though, I think we smell blood in the water, actually, from Simone Basolio and Ollie. Ollie is the one falling behind here in terms of pace. Falling victim maybe a little bit here. We'll see. That is very deep for the Mystery Machine. Managing to keep it under control, though, doesn't get off into the marbles. That's the crucial bit. Especially in that Lamborghini, you want that full power delivery, as that car already struggles enough to get the power down. In terms of our leaders, up at the front, Krzysztof Stachenki leading by 5.5 seconds over Denis Alakua. And Melker Garby 1.3 seconds off of Dennis, with Alex Zakdal actually closing. And last lap, much quicker, a 1:47.3 for Melker, excuse me, and a 1:46.8 for Alex. So just about 5/10 separating the difference in pace between them over 1 lap, and that has allowed the Aston Martin, out of all cars, to close in. This is a car that I have not seen much at all. I know I mentioned the Porsche since it came out. This car, since the 1.9 update, I have barely seen out on track, and Alex Zachdahl is making it look easy tonight. In fact, hang on. Is this what I think it is? Is this the V12? Chat, help me out. Is this the V12? It doesn't sound like a V12. It sounds like a V8. But isn't this scoops on the front? Isn't that the V12 thing? And it's got a big wing. Hang on, I can check this now that I think about it. And I'm going to, because now I'm extremely curious. As the dash, is this? We are checking. The guys in the truck. It is the V8. Okay, no, it's the V8. My apologies, everyone. I got excited for nothing. It's the V8, says Upside Mind as well. Thank you very much for correcting me. I just want to see the V12 out there. Can you guys forgive me? At the very least? It has a diffuser. Okay. Thank you, LG. Man, everyone lighting me up. Alright, thank you. But you can't blame me for wanting to see the V12 Aston out once again. Oh, kicking up the dirt there is Dennis Suarez. He was on the charge for Danny Santo, but has fallen off since. Lots of battles have heated up. Speaking of which, we see a car facing the wrong way. That's going to be Graham Potter sending his way across the track. Luckily, no cars there able to collect him. Let's see. Is this Porsche about to come into the side panel of this Lamborghini, or is the Lamborghini about to make a mistake? Lamborghini's about to make a mistake. All right. Gets pressured into the mistake, an unforced error there. Rather, a forced error, I should say, but no contact required for the Porsche to, well, make him go sideways there. The V12 sounds amazing. I didn't think that sounded like, yeah, that was the biggest tell for me. And I have a little whisper in my ear currently, and I think that is none other than John Wright, 00 Raven, joining me. Welcome, John.
Good evening, Mr. Noz. How are you? It looks like
great.
It's been an exciting one so far. Based on the qualifying results and the current race positioning, it looks like the Masters have welcomed you with open arms and a lot of action in the opening 17 minutes.
Oh, yes, indeed, and it has not died down. As you can see, this five-way battle on track, one of those cars involved is Simone Basolio, who has plummeted down the field after qualifying in P7, currently P2 in the championship standings, down into 14th right now. We also had Daniel Tuda, who qualified in P2. He is down after an unforced error himself into P11.
Wow. I didn't notice that, actually, because I was going to talk about Kiko Gallo, who was up near the front end as well. A slight incident, I think it was turn 2. Saw him off track. He rejoined very safely, but he's down to 10th. But yeah, Daniel Tuda. Yeah, wow. And I think as well, I looked at the qualifying times. 13, 14 drivers within 9/10 of a second.
Yeah, P1 and 2 were separated by a pretty good margin. I got to say, Krzysztof Stachanki has some pace behind his shoulders.
Wow.
Oh, that's right. It did get very close at the end in that, yes. But I think there was about
4,500s between the top two, and then 2/10.
2/10 was 2 and 3. Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, the qualifying's been close. So, yeah, not really a surprise then to see Tuda. Well, maybe a surprise to see him down in 11th, but struggling to catch back up with the rest of the field, given how closely matched they are all for pace. Pit stops are going to be a big thing, and yeah, it's quite the battle he's having at the minute with. That's Gallo and Tuda. So yeah, a battle that could have easily been for the podium, Mike. It's now taking place for 10th position halfway down the field.
Yeah, most certainly some side-by-side action. We see Daniel Tuda definitely has the pace. He is 1/10 quicker at last lap, but currently not able to make that overtake, because it's such a tricky thing to do on this track. I was making that point earlier. There's a lot of corners on this track. In fact, there's going to be 12 of them within 2.5 or within 3 miles. A bit of a straight, which gives you a good run as well down the Bentley straight, and there's big contact. The mystery machine, it is no mystery. There is coming into the back end of Daniel Tuda. Daniel somehow has managed to regain that control, and they remain side by side. Simone Basolio gets the overtake onto Ollie Ewig, but we need to see a replay of that, John.
Yes, we do. I've actually just jumped onto a replay of that myself, and the camera's just gone someplace completely different for some reason. But yeah, the mystery machine.
Oof.
Oh no, it was Ewig.
Ollie Ewig going into the back of the mystery machine, which sends him into the back of the McLaren, a 3-way concertina, and Ollie there getting out of shape on exit after trying to hold that position back from Simone. Very clear cut there, unfortunately, and oh no, Ollie is overdriving this car now.
Oh, I missed that there. I was just checking back on Zerman. Yeah, he's in the mystery machine, but I don't know about a mystery. It certainly would have been a shock there to take that McLaren in the rear quarter panel. And Basolio comes straight into the pits, Mike. He has had enough of the battling that's going on around him. He's coming in to take his mandatory now. Probably not too shabby an idea.
Yeah, maybe he got the pressures wrong. Something was wrong there in terms of hopefully an adjustable setting. Maybe not, but he was driving so well up to that point. I know we have Hajo Horman, one of his teammates in chat. Maybe he needs to get on the wire there to Ollie and maybe give him a little cool down notice and say, hey man, I know you know, getting hot in the head. You're seeing that little red mist, but nonetheless, you got to get down, head down, and pedal to the metal for the rest of this race. Up at the front, we have Alex Zakdal and Melker Garby side by side. Also, John, I am sharing my screens for you if you are curious.
Oh, perfect. Thank you very much. Let's just load up the stream. It's absolutely stunning, as always. And let me... Excellent. There we go.
And Simone Basolio has made his pit stop as well. He decided to call it enough is enough and go in and take his one mandatory stop for his tire change as well.
Yep, that's 2 of them. Zerman, yeah, on the receiving end. So he would very much got a bit of damage front and back there. Of course, he took one in the rear from Zubig and ended up tapping, not Basolio, it was Tuda. Took one in the rear quarter panel as well. So he might have a bit of damage, but Zerman, he will be back out. As you've said, Snetterton, this course fills me with fear to drive. I cannot get the hang of this. I think in game I've got like a platinum rating, and because of my safety and my racecraft, I don't have any stars at all. That's Snetterton.
See, I actually quite enjoy this track. I don't know. I seem to be a little crazy, and I enjoy the tracks that most people don't like. I love Coda. I love Snetterton. Donington's pretty good. And there's a few others out there. I love Barcelona. I know a lot of people don't like Barcelona.
I love Barcelona. They need to stop butchering that track, to be honest. Between the Formula 1 drivers and the new homologation rules for visor visibility on racing helmets, predominantly bikes, it turns out, actually. That's why Speaker's Corner is now Speaker's Corner at Spa, and part of the reason that some of the corners have been changed at Barcelona.
Oh, man, hold that thought, John. We have Benjamin Eck off the track. Benjamin was in P4 at the start of this race, and he made up to P2. What has happened? This is an unforced error, no doubt, as he is all on his lonesome. The back end of the Porsche. Oh, he bottoms out on the curbs, and that just unsettles the car. That is what I was talking about earlier, John. I was mentioning it. I haven't seen too much usage of the Porsche 992 since 1.9, and I know it came out in 1.9, but the suspension is so squishy. As soon as you hit one of those curbs and bottom out, it just sends you flying off, and I think that's one of the reasons we don't see too many out on track tonight.
Yeah. I was actually just looking as well, so I've just noticed down the field, Marco Keddy is 15th.
He just made his pit stop. Wait, no he didn't.
No, he didn't.
No, he just had an incident. We just caught that incident, didn't we? He went off into the... Oh, we caught it earlier. He went off into the barrier. He bottomed out on the curb. The AMG lost the front end. Out of all things, the AMG lost the front end. And he ended up spinning backwards into a barrier after that.
Okay, yeah, because he qualified in 5th, so this really has shaken things up. Championship leader, who was just about to comment on, this was the point I was getting to with my fear of Snetterton. Not really easy to get the overtakes done. Basolio and Sermon, both coming into the pits, both got a bit of free track ahead of them, which I'm sure they'll be hoping remains that way for a couple more laps, although we are now seeing more drivers come in as Zakdal, Eck, Keddy and Curtin all make their way into the pit. As we can see, Stachecki, purple laps, blue sunshine, plenty of he's just cruising up at the front, 7.5 seconds ahead of Alaquia, who started in 3rd, I believe, dropped down to 5th and is now back up to 2nd position with everything that's gone on. Garby as well, up from 6th to 3rd position. These three currently on the podium. Alaquia and Garby certainly in touch with one another at the moment as we see them heading towards the bomb hole. A big 7.5 second gap up to the lead. So Tudda, Stachecki, it looks like, Mike, may well have been spared this battle with Tudda, given how far down Tudda is. And just as we say that, another conversation piece hits the floor. Marco Keddy, 15 seconds for causing a collision there.
Interesting. Did he cause a collision on rejoin? As we have our live stewarding, big thank you, of course, to the FRL live stewards for providing us with live penalties and updates for that. But also a 5-second penalty.
And this and given. The rookies as well, by the way.
And
the rookie race is also running live. Christian Romano at the helm of that one. But yeah, so phenomenal job to do organising all the races on all the different platforms.
But I'm not sure how he managed to pick up that penalty, to be completely honest. I didn't catch that, so it must have been on rejoin after he went off. That'd be my prediction. Is 15 seconds. That's a hefty penalty, and that's not a collision. That's not just causing a collision, unless, I mean, obviously I don't know the exact ruling system here, and that could just be it, but I would be expecting maybe more a 5-second penalty like Sperla got here in P7. Oh no, and speaking of causing a collision, oh, that was not ideal.
That was clumsy. I think we'll call that. I'll go and jump on and... Is this a replay?
Yeah, we got a replay of it up on screen right now as Pither's coming into the braking zone and just misses it completely, tags the back end of the Lamborghini and takes the position on top of it. Also, what was that yellow flag from Daniel Tudda? Was that him coming out of the pits? It was him out of the pits. Side by side with Melker Garby. No, that's... Never mind, excuse me, that's Donnie Santo side by side with Melker Garby. This is for the podium positions, actually, as they have come out of the pits. We see a repair onto Melker as well. He spent 42 seconds in the pit, Donnie Santos, actually, so that isn't for podium. We saw Melker in P3. He is no longer.
Yeah, no, he was further down the order. Close to the likes of Eck. He came in at the same time. Basolio is on a decent recovery, though. He's got himself back behind Tudda, so that earlier pit stop has worked out quite well. For him. He would have liked to have been ahead of Tudda, I'm sure. Zhuwig and Eck both behind Pereira and Zerman as well. So Zerman, a big loser through the pit stop phase after that contact he took there, currently running in 19th position. He's only saving grace at the minute is Marco Keddy with that 15-second penalty. That is a massive uphill battle that Keddy has now got to bring home any points, any decent kind of points from this race. Tom Curtin no longer in the server.
Sorry to interrupt there, John, but I saw that coming from a mile away. I was about to say is that did not look clean throughout. That was just very poor from, honestly, both drivers from the start. And as a result, Donnie Santos is sideways, Daniel Tudda is sideways. We're going to go back and we're going to watch that because, this was not ideal. We're going to go back a minute here. Dennis Alacqua is out of the pits, I think, actually. That's why the yellow flag is there. So we see the SPQR guy. He's coming up behind. SPQR team is going to be, of course, is that Danny? No, that's, oh man, I've lost
Basolio.
Basolio.
Yeah, Basolio that's just come through there. Yeah, Danny Santo and,
oh, that's right, the SPQR was innocent. So we see a big squeeze here. This starts the conflict, of course. Right there, the 54 giving a massive squeeze, and then another one on top of it. That's a very, very unfair squeeze. And the McLaren responds by giving a little bit of a tap back, and then another squeeze on top of it. We're going to see here coming into the braking zone. Oh, well, we didn't quite see it, unfortunately, but we saw what the result was. And no room given. Two drivers coming together in a very, unfortunately, John, rookie mistake in a professional league
making
as well.
contact on a straight, there is zero excuses. There's nothing positive you could say about that. Yeah, making contact on a straight is probably the most frowned upon thing in racing at all. It's never going to end well, and Danny Santos no longer in the server, so two drivers down in the last 2 laps, and so yeah, hope for Keddy yet to make back some points. Just as I was saying that, he's made back 2 positions. He's got Pathivier behind him as well. Sperla still carrying a penalty up at the front. Kiko Gallo back in territory that he is probably more accustomed to, up in 2nd place at the minute, but still got that pit stop to take. Quite a few drivers, well, 3/4 of the field coming in and getting their pit stop done before the halfway mark of the race. And given the fairly steady conditions, and that is a big wiggle there from Ike Zerman. The mystery machine, maybe not completely repaired there, Mike. That looked like, a bit of a wiggle on exit, but he definitely seems to have the making of Pereira in the Porsche ahead of him.
Yeah, Ilik here, he is on the push, the Swedish driver, chasing down Pereira. And Ilik, I think we've seen these two actually together so far in this race, but Pereira has made up some ground, up 6 positions from P19, so on a pretty good start to their race. Of course, we've had a few drivers, of course, lose some big positions early on from very high up in terms of the rankings, and also a few drivers dropping out, so that has affected that, but still a very great drive from Rafael Pereira as well as Ilik Zerman up to this point. Behind them, Marco Keddy has found a friend as well, Graham Potter. They're going to have a little bit of a battle on track. Marco Keddy with a 15-second penalty. That'll be served at the end of this race. Or not served, but it'll be added on to the time at the end of the race. So Marco going to be most certainly out of the runnings here tonight. And Ollie Ewig also picks up a 15-second penalty for that collision that we saw earlier. No surprises there, John.
Absolutely none whatsoever. Christoph Stachecki, comfortable race leader. Stachecki once again checking out up at the front. He's come in to take his mandatory pit stop. That's promoted Kiko Gallo temporarily to the race lead. Omar Rolano Mesa, who put in some good laps in the opening rounds for Tire Sim Racing. His teammate Santo no longer in. He is back out on. He is still on track. Sorry, there's another car just coming out with the pits. How have I missed that? Oh, that was Stachecki. My apologies, that was Stachecki just coming flying out. So he's actually got out in front of Rolano Mesa. So he's come back out in 2nd place as we are on board. Marco Keddy chasing down Potter for all he's worth here. I wonder if Graham will get in touch with his brother Harry and see if he can work some magic for him.
Okay, I don't know how to respond to that. But
please don't, just ignore it and move on, it's fine. That's probably best for everyone.
Marco, he's a fighter, you know, he's down 15-second penalty down in P17. This is a driver that easily could be up in P1, 2, 3, but nonetheless, he's having some fun tonight. He is going to be making a look here onto Graham Potter, onto the outside. Not going to happen. Graham's going to run deep. That could open the inside back up to Marco for the next sequence of corners, but no. Marco's going to stay behind. He's going to be comfortable and keep with it. He definitely had an overtaking opportunity, but he must just smell blood in the water and weakness here coming. Expecting a mistake out of Graham Potter at any minute, I think, is Marco. And to be fair, with a AMG lumbering in my rearview wing mirror, I would probably make a mistake pretty quickly myself.
I would be feeling the pressure. Melker Garby, he's not feeling the pressure. He's just set the fastest lap of the race. So he is moving 1 minute 46.257, which is 8/10. Well, oh no, sorry, it's only a 10th. I was looking at Kiko Gallo there, and that's why my mind was blown. That's a 10th quicker than Stachecki. So the optimum conditions at 26 degrees, even with 26 minutes of fuel left on board, Garby in the McLaren is topping the timing charts. Again, it just lends credence to what I was saying when I first jumped in. And I'm sure what you were more than highlighting at the start there, the qualifying, the pace. I mean, top 14 within 9/10 of a second, top 15 1.1 seconds. There was 4 drivers were within 7/10. 4 drivers set a time 7/10 off the qualifying pace. The top 2 separated by 45 hundredths. Ridiculously close between this lot, and yeah, so not really a surprise to see someone down in 9th setting the fastest lap, but it does mean there is the chances of a grandstand finish, because Mike, this is yeah, love it or hate it, Snetterton is a difficult track, and as you pointed out, overtaking opportunities, they're not exactly plentiful.
No, you have to make your own, just like Marco Chetti is going to do there. Marco Chetti finally forcing Graham Potter into a mistake. He ends up going off the track and still almost holds the position. That is how hard it is to make an overtake here. Graham on the charge. 1:48.0 was his last lap, so going to be looking to make up some pace here tonight compared to the leaders. Lapping similar times, just about 2 seconds off their pace. But in terms of the front, Krzysztof Stachanki leading us by 7 seconds to a driver who hasn't made a pit stop, so 8 seconds to Dennis Alequa in P3.
Yeah, great drive by Alequa, or yeah, we'll have to figure out how to pronounce that.
I'm not
D'Angelo.
sure.
No, the SPQR Porsche has got himself up to 5th, and if I was a betting man, I'd say that is 4th, because Rolando Mesa obviously is still with that pit stop to take. I don't think Mesa's got enough time in his pocket to hold on to a top 10 position quite yet, especially with Melker Garby melting the timing boards, although Stachanki, he's answered right away, and he's gone a 10th quicker.
Fair enough.
So the fastest lap goes back to Stachanki. He's not messing about at all. He's got himself a 7.5 second lead before he came into the pits. He's got a much bigger lead coming out, and as soon as one of the, oh no, there we go, the times are just going to keep getting quicker and quicker. Daniel Tuda down there in 13th position, qualified 45 hundredths off a pole position, and he has just gone, I kid you not, 300ths quicker than the pole the current fastest lap of the race. So I think we're going to see that purple number shared about through the field for the next 24 minutes. So again, it really does mean, and Alequa actually up there in 3rd. He's about to put Rolando Mesa in his rear view mirror as well. Rolando Mesa, of course, won't be putting up too much of a battle here. They're on different strategies. Okay, maybe he won't fully back out of it and try and take the position, even though he's still got to take a pit stop, and that is Dennis Alequa, nose first into the wall, and yeah, a bit of a rookie mistake by someone there. Dennis Alequa sees his positions tumbling. D'Angelo in the Porsche, he is up to 4th then, as you see the replay.
You know, John, honestly, I'm not a steward, and the steward's obviously going to be having a ruling on that. I think that was the fault of Dennis. I think Dennis getting a little bit too impatient. I think Omar had accepted his fate. But Dennis gave him a pretty big squeeze and didn't really leave enough room, as we see there between Melker Garby and Francois Tassin for P7 and 8. Let's get a replay of that battle. I think Francois getting maybe a little bullied there. Let's see. Francois in the Ferrari. You can see Melker coming up from behind with a massive send onto the inside and forces the driver off track. I think that one is pretty clear cut as well.
Yeah. 15 seconds for table 7, please.
Yes,
that's likely to, that's going to be a little tap on the shoulder from the stewards. Just to accentuate what a performance the Czechi's putting in up at the front. That gap is now up to 12.9 seconds. He's got Alex Zakdal currently running in 2nd place. That McLaren is absolutely planted around here. Consistency pretty impressive as well. That last lap was a second down on his quickest, but he was making his way through some traffic as well. And just a quick update confirmation, Daniel Tuda still in 13th place with the fastest lap, and Dennis Alequa with a lot of damage there. His last lap there, 2:01. So 15 seconds off the pace, as you would expect. And, oh, I tell you what, he's got Melker Garby coming up behind him as well, as we see the Porsche blue flagging. But yeah, if you jump on board with 6th.
This is not a blue flag. This is for
Oh,
position.
it's not a blue flag.
This is Omar, who's still yet to pit. He must be really falling off of those tires, I must say.
Oh, right,
and
okay,
John,
yeah.
one thing he's just all over the road. In fact, I think he might have a blowout, but I'd be surprised if he did in that short a time. But one thing that I wanted to point out that you had a really good point, John, in that these drivers, something I haven't touched on yet, constantly getting quicker on track due to the fact that there is no refueling in this session. It is one mandatory pit stop with a tire change, but you're not allowed to add fuel. So these drivers have to have enough fuel at the start of the race to make it all the way to the end. So every single lap, the cars are getting lighter and lighter and lighter, gaining them hundredths every lap. And hundredths, well, they add up into tenths, and tenths, they add up into seconds. So that's going to be a constant improvement throughout the session that we see going on.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So yeah, the car's just permanently getting lighter. So I'm watching this, given a couple of the contacts that we've seen so far. Aliquet and Garby, they are both pretty racy this evening. Garby is likely to be receiving a penalty if we're going to call it like it is, and Aliquet is carrying a bit of damage here. The car's certainly looking unsettled there. Quick breathe in. Tassin in the background could be the big beneficiary here. He is not too far behind. D'Angelo up onto the podium as these drivers battle with everything that's going on. Dennis Suarez now finds himself in fourth as Aliquet and Garby battle out for fifth position, heading towards the ball hole. There is Tassin in the background. And actually, does someone want to start playing the Jaws music? Because the great white Porsche, Benjamin Eck with those shark teeth, he's not too far behind either, Mike. I get the feeling that we could maybe be popping a fin on top of Eck's car here, so he does give it the full Jaws, because these three ahead are getting very, very, very close, and Aliquet is carrying a fair bit of damage to the aerodynamics on the front of that McLaren.
Yeah, he is being a bit of a bottleneck right now for these two drivers, both Garby and Tassin, struggling to make any sort of ground whatsoever here, and that is hurting him. Benjamin Eck going to be reeling him in like the bass, well, like the shark fisherman that he is. We'll see if he comes harpooning in to make a position change. So far, though, Melker Garby is going to be making the move onto Dennis, but he runs deep into the corner. That's going to compromise him on exit, potentially even to Francois Tassin. Francois going to be making the move here on the outside, but not able to go back. Melker is actually still on the offensive as Dennis is deep into the next corner. That wounded McLaren is really hindering him around this 2.9-mile circuit of Snetterton, John.
Oh, it is. As we see Tassin having a big look up the inside. The door had to be left open there. It's often the third car in the equation that does that gets the best look, and Tassin almost got the look there. Melker Garby does finally make that move stick. The great white shark not quite getting close enough, but certainly has got that little bit closer, and Tassin, I'm sure, will be buoyed by the action that he's seeing ahead as we do get confirmation. Oh, we've just had a drive-through from the in-game stewards for Pithivier, who had a 5-second penalty from the live stewards. And we've got more penalties coming in. Tuda picks up 15 seconds for causing a penalty. Melker Garby at 10 seconds for causing a collision. Stachecki retakes the fastest lap of the race, as predicted. It's being well shared about. So yeah, Garby, Zhuwig, Tuda, Keddy and Pithivier all picking up time penalties that will get added at the end of the race. Tassin still picking up the slipstream. Oh, he's run a bit deep, and here comes the great white shark. And who said we should pop a fin on the top of that Porsche out of the last corner? The Ferrari got ever so lively there, Mike, and Benjamin Eck, he let those shark teeth shine through, and he chomped his way right past Tassin there, who's still in the slipstream, but great move, great predatory move by Benjamin Eck in the shark Porsche.
Yeah, he seems to be treating these cars like they are minnows around him. He's made some very sweet overtakes earlier on as well. We saw him make a move onto, actually, it was Dennis Acula early on, very early on. It was a battle for P2, in fact. Now, these drivers, after both suffering a bit of a collision with something, be it another car or a barrier or multiple, now having to resume that battle once again here on lap 23 with a little bit more damage on the front end, though, of Dennis. And I think Benjamin, it's going to be a matter of time before we see Benjamin make that overtake. Melker made it happen, and you can see he's already pulled away 1.5 seconds. So the pace difference for these non-wounded cars is definitely there compared to, well, the lack there of a splitter from Dennis.
Indeed, yeah. I was talking about Ike Zerman as well. He's actually back up to 11th position. Simone Basolio no longer in the race, so we are down to 19 drivers. But yeah, Zerman has been on a decent comeback, and he's ahead of Tudor, both physically on track and Tudor, of course, with that penalty. As we still watch this three-way battle intently. Oliver Zewig's made his way back into the top 10. So is Kiko Gallo. He's now back up to 9th position, but it is still Benjamin Eck. And I tell you, the Ferrari behind them, again, really does take a bit of a middle line into that last corner. Yeah, getting very close. It just, as you say, it's one of those things. I've been in a similar-ish position where you're so equally matched with the driver ahead. There's only a couple of places to get that overtake done, and if you can't get it done, it just looks like you've completely missed a corner. You lose a bit of momentum, and then you've got to spend a lap building back up. And oh, there we go, and it's exactly what the Porsche has just done, as they opened the door for Tassin to walk through. No, not quite, although the Porsche using all the exit there and getting a phenomenal run. You would think with 15 minutes left to go, it's a case of when rather than if here for the Porsche, at least getting past Alakwe. With that damage he's got, he's really going to struggle to keep Eck behind him.
Yeah, most certainly. But as we go further into the race, the tires are getting worse and worse, and that is going to affect Dennis more than it's going to affect Benjamin. So eventually Dennis is going to make a mistake, and we are going to see a change in position, presumably for maybe even Francois to take it as well, as he is just going to be biding his time and waiting, not really with too much to do. Even if he gets the overtake onto Benjamin Eck, he still has a brick wall in front of him. So really no point in battling with Ben at this point. Just kind of hold your ground and wait until you get through this cork in the bottle.
Yeah, it could well be the game plan. I'm still on board. I'm just watching Stachecki up at the front, and it's absolutely checking out. 15 seconds he is up the road. His lap times are very quick, very consistent. Oh, through the bomb hole. Oh, and the Porsche almost looked like it bottomed out again there. Just through that corner. And again, here we come into the last corner. Let's see if the Ferrari can do anything different this time. Again, goes for the outer line. Just, oh, it must be so frustrating. I mean,
it was different.
This is actually maybe a blessing in disguise for him now. There's maybe so much of a gap. He won't be hindered on the last corner, but just that last corner just very much seems to be, and I fully understand the last corner is there. And I remember racing in here in Audi A1s on Project Cars 2 back in the day, and even they, the lift-off oversteer was absolutely incredible. So 600 brake horsepower in a middle-engine rear-wheel drive car. I can't imagine it's much fun, but it certainly spread them out so slightly.
Daniel Tuda going to get presumably another penalty picked up for that collision with Ilik. Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on for a replay. That'll...
I'm not.
Yeah, he did give a... Yeah, no, it's not worth. I'll just have a... Oh, yeah, he was a... Wow. Oh, no, so he held his brakes in turn number 1. Zubik ahead got a good exit. Oh, no, that's a big old send.
Yeah, that was a pretty clear cut. Unfortunately.
Big old send.
Unfortunately, driver standards lacking here tonight, I must say so myself.
There's been, a couple of surprise penalties for me. I'm going to be honest. A couple of surprise penalties, quite a few contacts. If anything, all it's going to do is really shake up the grid. Basolio not even in the race. So he's going to pick up no points whatsoever for this one. Marco Keddy back up to 13th, and he is potentially going to make up positions on... Yes, he is. In fact, he's within 8 seconds of Tuda. Tuda's he's going to get himself another penalty there, which is going to be at least 10 seconds, I would say, potentially 15, because that was a long way back and he didn't redress the position. So I'm going to guesstimate 15 seconds, so that puts Keddy ahead of him. Ike Zerman is 1.7 seconds behind. He won't be carrying as much damage. Oh, the Great White Shark again, as he misjudged that one as the Ferrari. Tassin definitely seems to be the one getting held up here, I would say, Mike. He's caught back up handily to the drivers ahead. he was maybe just a bit too generous when the overtakes were all taking place with Melker Garby. But he is, he's handily keeping pace with his drivers ahead. And Alaquia, he is definitely putting in quite the shift just now, keeping these two behind. Because, Eck and Tassin, they've both got pace and they've both got overtaking prowess. But Alaquia, he's still got 6th place.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as I said before, it's a bit of... Francois, really, there isn't anything he can do. I mean, he can make the overtake onto Benjamin Eck, but then Benjamin's just going to be trying to overtake him back, and now they're battling, and now they're losing time to Dennis Alacroix. It's just all around a big loss. Francois is really kind of bottlenecked and at the mercy of Benjamin to get by, or really for Melker to make a mistake, or excuse me, for Dennis to make a mistake. My apologies. And, I mean, Dennis... He hasn't put a foot wrong, and with this extremely wounded McLaren, we can see, I don't even know if his steering wheel is completely straight as we pop on board with him, but it doesn't seem to phase him too much. Coming into that final corner, you can see so much slower as he has to go down, and that Porsche closing up massively, and even a flash of the headlights under acceleration, it's so damaged. Is this it, though, John?
Oh yeah, the Porsche's having a good look. He's got a good old run. They're absolutely side by side. He's surely going to get it done on the brakes. There's a little bit of a touch. The McLaren's back end steps out and the Ferrari steps on through the door that was opened by the Great White Shark, and they make contact on a straight.
What? Why are we squeezing so much? I don't understand.
Yeah,
I mean,
slightly confusing there. The Ferrari had the run. He was on the acceleration.
Yeah.
He had the slipstream as well, so he definitely had the pace. But I think that does put an end to that battle then, as Eck now finds himself about 4 seconds behind Garby. So we'll see what his and Tassin's true pace is. All the while that's been going on, there's 15 seconds for car 89. Oh, that's Rolando Mesa down at the back of the grid, picking up 15 seconds. What I was about to point out, though, Mike, is while all that was going on, Kiko Gallo, he's kept his head down. He's kept the laps quick and consistent. Of course, he qualified in 10th position, dropped down a few places. But he is now making back places, and with the penalties that are getting handed out ahead and Alaquia's lack of pace with the damage, he could be looking at 7th here.
He could be, but as we saw before, Alaquia has the ability to put up a masterclass of a defense, so it's going to be quite the ask to get by in the exact same machinery, but that might be the ticket. That might have been the issue before, in that Benjamin Eck in that Porsche just didn't have the straight line speed down the Bentley straight, and I think that was the biggest deal, why Benjamin wasn't able to make the move into the chicane. I think in equal machinery, Dennis should just be so much slower in a straight line than Kiko that he should blow by him down the Bentley straight.
Yeah, should do, yeah. In fact, you've just jumped onto. I was just watching a replay there of Oliver Zubik. He's really not looking confident in the McLaren. I've just watched him through the bomb hole. Oh, wow, yep. The back of that McLaren, he seems to be suffering from a bit understeer. If I was going to guesstimate at what was causing him his issues, Tuda's just coming to the pits.
Let's take a look at this replay here. So we see him move down the inside and Ollie just going for that squeeze. A lot of these drivers, they're just very squeezy.
They are, yeah.
It's very
squeeze hard.
Daniel Tuda's in the pits?
Yes, yep. He's coming to the pits.
Why? He's
Marco Keddy is smiling from ear to ear right now.
That must be a retirement. I mean, I can't see anything else.
Yeah, well,
unless
he can't
damage.
refuel, as we know.
Damage.
Refueling is not allowed. He might be changing tyres.
Well, why would he be repairing damage this late? I don't know. Anyways, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see if he comes back.
Oh, no, and Dennis, is this a retirement from Dennis as well? I think this might be. What? What is going on? John, what is happening in this race?
I have absolutely no idea.
What am I watching?
Yeah, Rolando Mesa is back in the pits. Tuda into the pits. Rolando Mesa. Yeah, Tuda's been stationary far too long for just be coming in to serve his penalty and changing tyres.
So Daniel Tuda has retired.
So it may well be, unless he underfueled.
You can't
because
you
you're
can't
not allowed to refuel in this race.
But at that point, just run it to the end. Like, and you might make it. Try to fuel save. Like, I don't know. I have no idea what I'm watching right now. All I know.
No, I mean, he might have actually run out of fuel.
He might have. He might have. Maybe. That's
yeah, I mean, he might be down.
misjudgment.
He might have been down to his last lap, rather than cause a red flag and get fully disqualified. Or not a red flag, sorry, but yeah, if he returns to garage. I can't remember what the penalty is, but it's stiff. It's severe.
Okay, fair enough then. If that's the case.
Yeah,
then.
if he's suddenly got himself down to a lap or two of fuel, then he needs to come into the pits and just park it up and retire. Or, yeah, if you run out of fuel on track, you need to return to garage. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't know about that rule. If that's the case, then that makes sense. Beyond that,
though, yeah, that
I'm
could
not
well be what it is.
sure why we saw Dennis Alakwa stop on a straight and then go again. Literally to a full and complete stop, and then go. I have no explanation for that one.
Yeah, I missed that. I was too busy looking at the pit times there to see what was going on. But yeah, Alaquia now down to 9th place. So Kiko Gallo did get past as well. Ike Zerman is getting pretty close. Oh, the back of the McLaren. Yeah, I'm just watching a bit of a replay of Alaquia from the last little lap or two, and I mean, it's 50-50. It looks like he's maybe got the type of damage that only pops up through certain corners.
Yeah, but why did he come to a full and complete stop in the middle of a straight? That is beyond me. And oh no, Ike Zerman, the pressure that you were mentioning before is going to come to an end now. Is this an unforced error? It looks to be. This track really is getting the best of these drivers tonight, if I do say so myself. I mentioned it early on. This is a track that, as you can see, just bottoming out on the curbs, sent him wide onto the other curbs, which he ends up losing traction on and spinning out. Luckily, no contact with the barrier. However, as I was saying, tough, this track. It's very tricky, and not too many drivers drive it. Oh, come on, guys. I don't want to be harsh.
Yeah, Marco Keddy through turn 1. Looking for the move. Nothing doing there. It doesn't look like it's going to be too much longer. But in saying that, there's only 4.5 minutes left to go. Can Keddy get the move done? This would get him back inside at the top 10. It would definitely do any championship aspirations the world of good.
Marco Keddy is a 15-second penalty.
Oh, he's got a 15-second penalty.
So this battle is actually fruitless, and if he takes him out, we'll see. Marco Keddy, a very talented driver. I don't expect him to be making any mistakes like that, but I've said that, maybe cursed a few drivers tonight by saying that. We'll see.
Yeah, curse to the commentator, Mike. That'll be what it is. That'll be my late arrival as well.
Just...
back up to 6th position. Yeah, Tassin and X. So, oh no, we've got
Kiko Gallo having a little bit of a trip, just a picnic on the grass. What's happened here? This to be self-enforced or self-inflicted as well.
Yeah, no one near him.
Whoa! That's mechanical failure if I've ever seen one.
Yeah,
That is definitely not due to the fault of the driver. That is some sort of technical difficulty.
Yeah, his brakes failed.
Yeah, you
I've
can
just
see.
jumped on board and watched his tail lights, and his brakes stopped and started. His engine wildly revved.
Oh,
yeah, so he's
Kiko
had some kind of issue there. Wow.
Was on for a nice
After
top
that
10
drive.
result, too, and that's going to be that. Mechanical failure probably going to put an end there to the 444's race. Hopefully, they get back out on track and can at least finish in the top 15. Heart goes out there to Kiko, as that is going to, and it looks like, unfortunately, that is going to be that for Kiko, I think.
Yeah, he's got 2.5 minutes to do a quick restart on his steering wheel, but usually you do need to restart the game for it to kick in. Fingers crossed, but that is, yeah, that's a hard break after that drive as well, to get himself comfortably back inside the top 10. We have another penalty popping through. Daniel Tuda picking up more penalties, so retiring in the pits. He's going to be 3-4 laps down and a 20-second penalty as well. So that is not a good championship haul for the driver in 7th, especially for considering Benjamin Eck and Stachecki. Although in saying that, ahead of him in the championship, Basolio's not going to finish the race. Keenan not racing. Danny Santos is DNF, and Thomas Nopek is a DNS. So this actually isn't too bad for Daniel Tudor. Melker Garbi and Giacomo D'Angelo in the Porsche are going to be massive winners in this one. D'Angelo can see himself propelled. Wow, he's going to find himself third. D'Angelo is going to jump from 9th to 3rd in the championship after this race tonight if he can bring home this 3rd place.
Now, to keep in mind, though, one thing, John, is that this is going to be a lot of the drivers' drop round. There's one drop round in the championship, and I can see right now that a lot of drivers are going to be using that.
Yeah, Basolio in round 2 only managed 16th.
Ooh, Simone Basolio is going to be really plummeting then as a result. In fact, is this a DNF for Simone? I don't even see
DNF for Simone. Yep, he's no longer in the race. He disconnected from the server in 11th position, just after the pit stops. So yeah, when the drop rounds come into play, even Melker Garbi last round he got 12th. D'Angelo's first round was a 10th, so he's going to have a 5th and a 3rd on his record. Keenan is going to have a 2nd and a 7th because he didn't start. Basolio is going to have a 2nd and a 16th. Santo isn't here, so he's going to have a 3rd and no 2nd result. No pick, no show, so he's 3rd and 6th. Yeah. Leader on the final lap. I will. Yeah, you started this off, Mike, beautifully. I'll let you bring the winner home after an hour of an action-packed hour of Snetterton. I don't envy the stewards.
Yeah, it's been quite.
They're still going.
Daniel Tudor is currently trying to get the record for the most amount of time penalties in a race, and he's on his way to do that. But Krzysztof Szczęsny, he doesn't need to worry about any of that. He has been an absolute masterclass this time around here at Snetterton. P1 in qualifying, fastest lap in the race, and looking like it's going to be P1 in the race as well, barring any refueling or barring any fuel issues, which I presume Szczęsny shouldn't have. Very talented, very, very, very talented driver with only half of the lap left to go here tonight. Why don't we pop on board, give him a little parade here. The 144 driver will be leading the championship with 3 wins to his belt, and that is no easy task with the names on this grid tonight. We've seen some bumping, we've seen some banging. It's been quite the race, to be completely honest. 60 minutes here at Snetterton. Next week, of course, will be 90 minutes at Watkins Glen. Hopefully the drivers are going to be a little bit more keen to that track. It's a little bit of an error. Turns out Krzysztof Szczęsny is human after all. He went a little deep into that corner. Doesn't matter. It's not going to cost him anything. Cost him half a tenth, if that. One more corner to navigate, though. Through the final corner, he takes it extremely slowly, lifts off the throttle very early, no chance of error, and Krzysztof Szczęsny, after 60 minutes here at Snetterton with a nice little celebration to the line, comes across for first place. The Polish driver takes pole and takes the win here tonight. We have Alex Zakdal behind, making up 6 positions, started in P8. The Swedish driver all the way up into P2 in the FRL Racing Team. The V8 Aston Martin comes to the line in P2. An incredible finish for the FRL team. They're going to be extremely happy with that. And Giacomo D'Angelo's to the line for P3 in the SPQR Porsche. Out of all the SPQR cars on the grid, John, I didn't expect to see the Porsche up there tonight. However, I'm more than happy to see them.
Oh, absolutely delighted for the Porsche driver. He qualified 7/10 off a pole, started the race in 11th position. He's kept his head down, he's kept his laps quick, clean and consistent, and he's got himself onto the podium. So yeah, they will be absolutely delighted with that. Dennis Suarez as well, making up ground. He started in 12th, he followed D'Angelo, he made it up to 4th. So the both of them, Tyre Sim Racing, will be delighted with the result there. And then Melker Garbi is going to lose positions. He did cross the line in 5th, Benjamin Eck in 6th position. Francois Tassin took the checkered flag for 7th. He has been penalised as well, but that should keep him ahead of Dennis Alaquia, who finished in 8th. Oliver Zhuwig carrying the penalty across the line in 9th, but he's got Marco Kenny carrying the penalty across the line in 12th. So definitely one of those, Mike. Get yourselves, guys and gals at home, get yourselves onto the SimGrid page and keep up to date with all the standings once they are fully updated. As Mike said, there was some interesting contact and collisions between the drivers tonight. There's a fair few penalties on the board at the moment. And I do get the feeling it's going to be quite a long night for the stewards sorting through some of that. But an hour at Snetterton, racing is racing. Some of it pretty unavoidable, it has to be said. But yeah, racing is racing, Mike. And a track like Snetterton, where, as we highlighted, so difficult to get an overtake done, it was, yeah, it was certainly one for the viewers.
Yes, it most certainly was a very enjoyable broadcast, and a big thank you to everyone participating as well. Thank you to all the FRL stewards for being here tonight and all the FRL admins for putting it on. Massive thank you to Pure Sim Gear as well. Big shout out to those guys, the sponsors of this league. If you guys need some race wear in terms of gloves or socks, they have the best on the market, the best fitting, and will keep your sweat off of the wheel as much as possible. I don't know if they want me to say that, but I said it nonetheless.
That's exactly why it's there. Yeah, 100%. I know. Yeah, you need gloves. Yep, they do. And it's actually, yeah, there is prizes. My apologies. I did have something I was supposed to send, Mike, but yeah, it is, as people know, they are a business that is dedicated to sim racing racewear. They currently produce gloves and socks with specific sim racing features. You can actually use the code Friends of FRL15 for a discount at the checkout. And of course, the pros. The winner in the pros will receive gloves and socks, or it will be a voucher to redeem so they can get them in the right sizes and things, of course. And in the silvers, the pros will the winner in the silvers will receive a voucher for a pair of pro gloves as well. So yeah, thank you very much to Pure Sim Gear, and apologies to Mike that I did not hit send on that message last night.
All good. Apologies to Pure Sim Gear for that. But nonetheless, thank you so much for everybody for participating. Thank you to all the drivers as well, and good luck in the next round. Of course, 90 minutes over at Watkins Glen, November 23rd. Of course, we are here at Snetterton today. This is the Pure Sim Gear GT3 Masters Season 11. I've been Mike Noss. Joining me in the booth was John Wright, and hope everyone has a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning wherever you are in this fine world. Thank you, and good night.